A misty morning in Grand Rapids, Michigan. As the streetlights still glowed in the early dawn, a car pulled up to the Miller Property Management office building. Jennifer Miller stepped out of the aging company car, her steps as light as ever. Her brown hair neatly arranged and dressed in a simple suit, Jennifer was, as usual, the first to arrive at the office. After unlocking the entrance and turning on the lights, she immediately reached for the cleaning supplies. She carefully wiped each desk, swept the floors, and watered the plants. Arriving before anyone else and staying later than everyone else, this had been her routine for the past 10 years. "Good morning, Benjamin," she spoke softly to the potted plant by the window as she watered it. This plant was a gift from her father on her first day at the company. Now it had grown magnificently, adding a warm touch of color to the office. The company nameplate, illuminated by the morning sun streaming through the window, read, "Miller Property Management, since 2004. Founded by her father Robert, the company had become a well-known name in Grand Rapids' property management industry. They specialized in managing high-end residential properties and enjoyed strong client trust. In particular, the residents of Lakeview Estate, who had been with them since the company's founding, highly valued their meticulous service. Jennifer had majored in property management in graduate school and, after graduating at the top of her class, joined the family business. Her methodical nature and sincere work ethic earned high praise from many clients. In the 10 years since joining, she hadn't missed a single day of work, pouring her heart and soul into the company's development. However, 2 years ago, everything changed. As the real estate market declined, the company's performance gradually deteriorated. What began as a temporary measure in salary reduction had somehow become the norm. Despite having weathered the economic crisis 7 years ago, for some reason, recovery wasn't progressing this time. Then a year ago, her sister Patricia graduated from college and joined as an accountant. Dressed in the latest fashion and carrying designer bags, her sister was promised an exceptional starting salary from day one. With her pearl necklace gleaming and perfect makeup, Patricia looked as if she had stepped out of a fashion magazine. Patricia's young, so she needs to maintain a certain lifestyle. Appearances matter, their mother Margaret had said, deciding to give her inexperienced sister a high salary. Meanwhile, Jennifer's salary cuts continued. Their father Robert occasionally showed apologetic expressions but ultimately always followed his wife's decisions. Today, Jennifer was again reviewing materials for meetings with important clients. Her days were filled with new property management contracts, requests from existing clients, and mountains of paperwork. In the adjacent seat, Patricia was browsing photos of new handbags on her smartphone while ignoring urgent documents. "Patricia, have you finished processing that contract? It's the renewal paperwork for Lakeview Estate." "Oh, I was just about to do that. But I have lunch plans with friends, so tomorrow should be fine, right?" Leaving behind what sounded like an excuse, Patricia began preparing to leave early. Their parents said nothing about this. Instead, they watched fondly, saying, "She's young, she should enjoy herself." Sometimes they even admonished Jennifer, saying, "You should be kinder to your sister." In the twilight office, Jennifer let out a deep sigh. In her desk drawer lay 2 years' worth of pay stubs, neatly arranged. The columns of numbers showed her salary had been reduced from its former $80,000 to little more than minimum wage. Each slip weighed heavily on her heart. Though she could barely maintain her lifestyle thanks to living in company housing, her savings were gradually being depleted. Outside the window, she could see Patricia climbing into her new BMW. The glossy black body gleamed in the setting sun. How long will this situation continue? Jennifer quietly turned off her computer. The next morning, a heavy atmosphere hung over the Miller Property Management conference room. It was time for the monthly salary review meeting. The expressions of the four people around the table each differed as the morning sun cast a pale light on the documents before them. Jennifer sat straight-backed with her black leather binder in front of her. Her simple navy suit was the same one she'd worn since joining the company 10 years ago. It had become something of a battle uniform, worn to every annual salary review meeting. Inside the binder were her pay stubs from the past 2 years and her performance data, all meticulously organized. The slight trembling of the papers in her hands, was it from nervousness, or from emotions she couldn't quite suppress? In contrast, Patricia lounged deep in her chair wearing the latest designer suit, smartphone in hand. She occasionally smiled as she scrolled through her screen with bright red manicured nails. The scent of expensive perfume wafted through the conference room. On her feet were new high heels that had just arrived that morning, their price surely exceeding Jennifer's monthly salary. Father Robert looked tired as he reviewed the documents. Deep wrinkles now marked what was once a dignified face. Though he occasionally cast apologetic glances at his eldest daughter Jennifer, he quickly averted his eyes. In his hands was a report of the company's recent performance. Though the surface numbers didn't look bad, for some reason the company's finances were tight. Mother Margaret sat in her usual chair, perfectly made up and elegantly dressed. Her expensive pearl necklace cast a soft glow under the fluorescent lights. Nothing could be read from her expression. However, in her gaze, there seemed to be a glimpse of something like anxiety. "Shall we begin?" Robert's voice broke the silence. His voice no longer carried its former authority. Jennifer took a deep breath and slowly opened her binder. On the page of her notebook was written "Last Chance" in red ink. Below those words were materials she had prepared until late the night before. "Dad, Mom, and Patricia," her voice trembled slightly. Still, Jennifer looked straight at her family. It was rare for someone of her mild temperament to address matters so directly. "Please, let's discuss my salary." Margaret waved her hand elegantly. Her pearl bracelet made a soft sound. "Oh, this again? You understand the company is struggling, don't you?" "Yes, I understand. But..." Jennifer pulled out one document from her binder. It was a presentation she had revised countless times the night before. "These are my results for the past 2 years. Customer satisfaction is up 15%, contract cancellation rates are at an all-time low. New contracts have increased 20% compared to last year. Especially the referrals from Lakeview Estate." She placed the document filled with numbers in the center of the table. She desperately tried to keep her hand from shaking. "My salary has been reduced from $80,000 2 years ago to barely minimum wage now. Meanwhile, the company's performance..." "Stop listing numbers," Margaret's cold voice cut off Jennifer's words. There was something like panic mixed in her voice. "We're family, aren't you? Working for free should be natural. When the company is struggling, we need to help each other. We're providing you with company housing, aren't we?" At that moment, Patricia's smartphone chimed. The bell-like tone rang discordantly through the conference room. The screen showed "Salary deposit complete, $8,000. Patricia smiled with satisfaction and looked at Jennifer provocatively. Her new nails gleamed as they reflected off the smartphone screen. "After all, there's no value in paying you, is there, sis? Unlike me, you don't have any real achievements." The air in the conference room froze. Even the morning sun streaming through the window seemed to dim for a moment. A single tear rolled down Jennifer's cheek. But she quickly wiped it away with her handkerchief. The past 10 years of desperate work flashed through her mind like a series of snapshots. I see, so I have no value. Jennifer stood up quietly, clutching her binder to her chest. I understand. Now I understand everything. Leaving the conference room, Jennifer walked straight to her desk. She took out a cardboard box from her drawer and began packing away 10 years' worth of memories. The plant named Benjamin. The family photo taken on her first day. The pen she used to close her first contract. A bundle of thank you letters from clients. Each item told the story of days she had taken pride in. Sis, what are you doing? Don't tell me you're sulking? That's so childish. Patricia threw out the words mockingly. Her expensive heels made sharp sounds on the office floor. Their parents had also come out of the conference room and were watching Jennifer with confused expressions. Finally, she picked up the family photo on her desk. A memento from 10 years ago, when everyone was smiling. She removed the photo from its frame and placed it in the box. The frame went quietly into the trash. The sound of breaking glass echoed through the office. Thank you for everything. After a deep bow, Jennifer began walking with the box in her arms. Her back was straighter than ever. Hey, where are you going? Jennifer. Stop this nonsense. Ignoring the voices calling from behind, she left the office without stopping. The spring sunlight enveloped her back. Her hair clip came loose, and her long brown hair swayed in the wind. After leaving the company, Jennifer left the company car keys at reception. Opening first thing in the morning and closing last thing at night for 10 years. Such daily routines would end today. And for the first time in 10 years, she would be taking a taxi home along the route she had traveled every day. The cityscape looked a little different from the taxi window today. In the back seat, Jennifer closed her eyes slightly. Deep down, she knew this was the right choice. The next morning, the Miller Property Management office was wrapped in an unfamiliar atmosphere. Usually by now, Jennifer would have finished cleaning, and the scent of coffee would be starting to drift through the air. But this morning, no footsteps echoed through the dark, silent office. After 7 o'clock, Sarah from accounting was the first to arrive. She turned on the lights in the dark office and looked around anxiously. The plant Benjamin was gone from its usual spot. Jennifer's desk had been completely cleared. Strange. Jennifer's desk is... Just as Sarah muttered these words, the reception phone rang. Hello, Miller Property Management. Good morning. This is the Lakeview Estate Management Association. About the urgent repairs we requested yesterday. Sarah froze. Jennifer was supposed to be handling that case. I apologize. We'll check who the new person in charge is. We asked Jennifer to handle this. We only want to speak with her. The voice on the other end grew stronger. At that moment, Patricia arrived at work with flashy clicking sounds from her new heels, breaking the morning silence. Patricia. Lakeview Estate is on the line. Patricia gracefully picked up the receiver. Hello, this is Miller. I apologize for keeping you waiting. Where is Jennifer? My sister, well. That's enough. We'll put the contract renewal on hold. We'll discuss this at the Management Association today. The line went dead. The color drained from Patricia's face. Lakeview Estate was the company's largest client. Could their contract renewal really be in jeopardy? As employees continued arriving at work, voices of concern spread as they noticed Jennifer's absence. Robert and Margaret arrived at work. The office was in chaos at a time when business should have already been well underway. "What's going on?" Margaret's voice carried a note of panic. Just then, Carol from accounting rushed in with a pale face. "This is terrible. The tax documents, there's a mountain of expired ones." One after another, unprocessed important documents were discovered in the pile of Patricia's paperwork. Tax-related documents, social insurance procedures, payroll calculation data. Everything had been postponed and piled up. "No." Robert collapsed into a chair. That afternoon, inquiries flooded in from major clients. Though Margaret desperately tried to smooth things over, the clients' reactions were cold. By evening, notices of contract review had arrived from 3 major customers, including Lakeview Estate. "What's happening?" Margaret's expensive designer bag slipped from her hand. The next day, further problems came to light. Among the unprocessed documents found on Patricia's desk was a serious oversight. A tax audit notice. The deadline was next week. However, the necessary documentation hadn't even been started. I didn't know about that." Patricia's lips, painted with bright red lipstick, trembled. "You didn't know?" For the first time, Margaret raised her voice at Patricia. The office lost its vitality day by day. A week later, Tom from the sales department submitted his resignation. "Without Jennifer, I can't work in this office anymore." After that, 3 more employees submitted their resignations in succession. 2 weeks later, 40% of their major clients had sent notices terminating their contracts. Sales recorded a shocking 70% decrease compared to the previous year. The bank contacted them suggesting a review of their loans. Considering Miller Property Management's current situation. And when the tax audit began, Patricia's inappropriate accounting practices were discovered one after another. Robert's desk was piled high with unpaid invoices. The company's bank balance had fallen to critical levels. How did it come to this? Margaret covered her face, makeup smeared with tears. Her expensive rings gleamed emptily under the fluorescent lights. Patricia was forced to give up her new BMW. I need money." Her new bags would no longer be arriving. The office plants, receiving no one's care, gradually began losing their leaves. In the same spot where Jennifer had watered them every day. Then came the decisive event. Lakeview Estate sent notice of complete contract termination. "Following Jennifer Miller's resignation, we have determined it is difficult to continue our business relationship with your company." The moment he read that line, the document slipped from Robert's hands. The company his father had poured his passion into, that Jennifer had protected and nurtured. Everything was crumbling with a crash. The office air conditioning stopped. An unpaid utility bill fluttered in the breeze on the desk. The setting sun visible from the office window cast a deep color on the days of former glory. In a quiet residential area on the outskirts of Grand Rapids, Jennifer's apartment doorbell rang one spring afternoon as sunlight poured down. "Jennifer, please hear us out." Her father Robert's tired voice leaked through the door. Her parents' appearance on the living room sofa was unrecognizable from a month ago. Robert's back was deeply hunched, and Margaret's once perfect makeup was smeared, her hair showing traces of white. Their plain clothes stood out strangely in place of their usual expensive brands. "I'm sorry, truly sorry." Robert pressed his head to the floor. Margaret also bowed deeply in apology while crying. Beside them, Patricia pouted and leaned against the wall with her arms crossed. "The company's a mess because you left. You should come back right away." At those words, Margaret strongly scolded Patricia for the first time. "Be quiet. Do you know how much damage your irresponsible work has caused?" Her voice choked up, and she bowed deeply again. "Jennifer. I was wrong. It was all my arrogance." Jennifer silently brewed tea and placed it before her parents. The mugs they had once used at the company. The words "a world's best dad" and "to my beloved mother" now seemed ironic. "We lost Lakeview Estate, and half of our major clients have terminated their contracts." Robert spoke as if squeezing out the words. "The tax audit also revealed serious problems. The bank is cutting off our loans. What do you want from me?" Jennifer's voice was calm. "We want you to come back to the company." Robert looked straight at Jennifer. "But not just to return as CEO." Patricia raised her voice. "No way, putting her in charge of management." "Be quiet." This time Robert silenced Patricia in a strong tone. "Your incompetence has been thoroughly proven." Margaret slowly took a photograph from her bag. A family photo from 20 years ago, when the company was established. Young Jennifer beaming beside a younger Robert. "This smile, we took it away." Margaret's voice trembled. "But I believe it's not too late. Please, rebuild the company, rebuild our family." Jennifer stood up and walked to the window. From there, she could see the company housing where she once lived. A place filled with memories. "I have conditions." Jennifer turned around. Her expression was stern yet dignified. "First, full authority as CEO must be delegated. No family emotions in management decisions." Robert nodded deeply. "Second, all employee salaries must be corrected to market standards. A performance evaluation system based on ability and contribution must be introduced." Margaret nodded silently. "And third," Jennifer continued in an especially firm tone, "all unpaid wages for these past 2 years must be paid in full. As fair compensation for my contributions." "But, we don't have that kind of funding," Robert began to say. "There is a way." Jennifer pulled out a document from her desk. "Since leaving, I've been in contact with several investors. They're considering funding, provided we rebuild the company." Patricia wore a bitter expression. "Are we really going to do whatever Big Sister says? We're the Millers, aren't we? That's quite enough." Margaret stood up and slapped Patricia's cheek hard. "Do you understand how much your luxurious lifestyle has hurt the company, hurt our family?" Patricia fell silent, as if finally realizing her own mistakes for the first time. "We accept all conditions." Robert bowed deeply again. "And, please forgive me. As a father, as a manager. I was so foolish." Outside the window, spring winds scattered cherry blossoms. A season of change. A time for new beginnings. The next day, a press conference was held at Miller Property Management. Effective immediately, Jennifer Miller has been appointed as CEO of our company. Jennifer appeared at the conference with a dignified expression. Her simple yet elegant suit reflected her determination as the new executive. "I will definitely rebuild this company," her strong voice resonated through the conference room. "Into a company where clients can trust us and employees can work with pride." As camera flashes went off, Robert and Margaret quietly bowed their heads in the back. Patricia, for the first time, sensed a strength in her sister's back that she had never seen before. That evening, Jennifer began cleaning the office, just as she had when she used to arrive first thing in the morning. But this time, she wasn't alone. "Let me help," Patricia hesitantly picked up a mop. Jennifer gave a small nod as her sister took off her high heels and knelt on the floor. The morning sun began streaming in by the window where a new potted plant had been placed. The light of renewal seemed to bless the launch of the new Miller Property Management. 6 months later, the former vitality was returning to the Miller Property Management office. 7 a.m. When Jennifer arrived at work, Patricia was already cleaning. Gone were the luxury brand suits, replaced by simple office attire as her sister diligently polished the floor. "Good morning, Patricia." "Good morning. I've already prepared the materials for today's weekly meeting." There wasn't a trace of her former arrogance in her sister's voice. Documents were neatly arranged on the desk. Having relearned accounting and finance basics from the ground up, she had become one of the most meticulous employees. By the window, a new plant sparkled in the morning sun. Named Benjamin Jr., it had become a symbol of the office, cared for by all employees in rotation. In the reception room, Robert read the newspaper wearing reading glasses. Having stepped back from management, he now focused on mentoring younger staff as an advisor. Beside him, Margaret, dressed in a simple suit, brewed coffee. "Jennifer, may I sit in on today's meeting with Lakeview Estate?" Margaret asked hesitantly. Her expensive accessories had disappeared, replaced by a gentle smile that suited her better as a mother. "Of course, Mom. But first, let's have our family meeting. Every Wednesday at 8 a.m. The family meeting had become a tradition of the new Miller Company. The whiteboard in the conference room showed last month's performance. Sales had recovered to 80% of pre-crisis levels. Many departed clients were gradually returning. "Good morning, everyone," Jennifer opened the meeting. "First, let's review last week." Patricia carefully opened her materials. "Yes. Report from the accounting department. All issues identified in the tax audit have been corrected. The new accounting system is operating as scheduled." "That's wonderful progress," Margaret directed a genuine smile at her. "Next, regarding the renewal contract with Lakeview Estate," Robert continued while reviewing the documents. "The Management Association's evaluation is excellent. In particular, they praise Patricia's handling." Her sister's cheeks reddened slightly. "I will never again betray the company and our family." The entire family nodded deeply at her quiet words of determination. 9 a.m. Regular business hours began. Under the new employee training system, young staff members worked with enthusiasm. After introducing the merit-based evaluation system, employee motivation had significantly improved. "President Miller, could you please review the presentation materials for the new project?" "Patricia, could you help me with this expense processing?" "Mr. Robert, could we have another lecture on property management basics?" Energetic voices echoed throughout the office. 3 p.m. The chairman of the Lakeview Estate Management Association visited. Jennifer and Patricia sat side by side responding to the business meeting in the conference room. The changes are remarkable, he commented admiringly. Especially Patricia's growth is extraordinary. By watching my sister's back, I finally understood, Patricia responded with a sincere expression. What it means to be a true professional. 6 p.m. The family participated in local volunteer activities. Their efforts in community cleanup, as part of the company's social contribution, deepened the neighborhood's trust. On their way back after cleaning, Patricia spoke up. For my wedding next month, would you be my maid of honor? Jennifer gently embraced her sister. Of course. You're my precious little sister. 8 p.m. As Jennifer finished her final business check of the day, an email arrived on her desk. Would it be possible for your company to manage our new development project? A request from a major developer. A new wind was definitely beginning to blow. A new family photo adorned her desk. Everyone wore genuine smiles. Next to it, the old family photo in its frame. Those former smiles had gained even more radiance through their new bonds. Good work today, President. Patricia called out after finishing her final checks. I sent you today's management figures by email. Up 15% from last month. Thank you. You worked hard. It'll still take time to catch up to you, sis. The sisters exchanged smiles as they left the office together. Not forgetting to water the plant by the window one last time. The family of 4 headed to dinner with their parents waiting at the entrance. Their shadows cast by the streetlights had definitely grown closer than before. The clock showed 9 p.m. The same time when Jennifer used to work overtime alone. Now, the gentle sound of family laughter echoed. 2 years later, Patricia was promoted to sales manager. After marriage and childbirth, she had gained even more depth as a person. Robert and Margaret became reliable presences watching over the next generation while busily caring for their grandchildren. And Jennifer had grown the company into the region's premier property management firm. In the reception room of the new office building hung a large family tree. Under the words, Miller Property Management, the names of the grandchildren who would carry on as the 3rd generation were inscribed with hope. An ending is a new beginning. Family bonds can sometimes be wounded and nearly broken. But by facing each other sincerely and acknowledging each other, they can be reborn into something stronger and deeper. This was what this family had proven through their own experience.